the luckiest man in the world. He goes to all the most exotic locations like Dayton, Ohio, Portland. And okay, did you say you were in San Jose, California there, Cedric?
San Jose, Cali, right down the street from the Shark Tank where the Longhorns are playing Purdue in a few hours.
Cedric Golden has been spending the past 2 weeks traveling the country covering Longhorn basketball. I call them the true underdog, the true Cinderella story. I can't wait for the 30 for 30 on ESPN coming up, how they overcame, a program that has no money, no talent, disappointing season. And they figured it out the first four in Dayton, and then underdogs, they win, in the opening round, and then they win in the second round. And here they are, Longhorn basketball, defying the odds, and they're in the Sweet 16.
Definitely defying the odds, Lou, because I thought it was over after they lost that home game to Oklahoma, because that was the game that they knew they had to win to make sure that they were in the tournament. And then they lose in overtime to OU, and knowing they had to win a game in the SEC tournament to avoid the play-in game, they get rolled by Ole Miss, 12-19 Ole Miss, and so they ended up they conducted practices without even knowing if they were in the tournament, and so they get in the last team in the tournament, and who would have thought that they'd be in the Sweet 16 after wins over BYU and Gonzaga? Not this guy.
Nope, and they had to win 3 games in a 6-day stretch or 5 days. Five day stretch.
5.
So what happened? What have they figured out? What clicked? Or they've just had good matchups? What's been the secret to the run?
Well, the secret to the run is they've played with a healthy dose of desperation. Their their most experienced players are playing their best ball. Tremont Mark, Jordan Pope, Dalen Swain leading the way, and the most important thing, Lou, they started to get stops on defense. And now that A.J. DeBamsta from BYU is a top 5 lottery pick, and he scored 35 points, but they held his teammates down to 36 between them and won that game 79-71. So I really think that the Longhorns found a little bit of postseason magic, and you just never know what can happen in March Madness if you hit the right note. Every now and then it can work out for you. Now, will they beat Purdue tonight? I pick the Horns because I just see how hot they are. But if their point guard Jordan Pope doesn't play and he's got an ankle sprain, it's going to be tough to beat Purdue as good as they are on offense.
Yeah, look, if you already start behind and you're the underdog, But one thing about Purdue you got going for you, they're one of the chokingest NCAA tournament teams I've ever seen. They are so good at underperforming their seed.
Yeah, that's been their history. I know Matt Painter's a really good coach, but and they were in a they were in a championship game a few years back. But I just wonder if it's going to be too much for Texas. 2 big guys inside a 6'10" and a 6'11", and then Braden Smith, one of the best shooting guards in the country. So it's going to be fun to watch. Texas is playing with house money, Lou. They never thought they'd be in this position to get to the first Elite Eight since 2022. And you got to give Sean Miller credit for getting them back on track. He also has the shoulder responsibility of the so-so season that they had, 9-9 in the SEC, but could have been probably 11-7 if they hadn't let a couple of games get away from them.
So what this run does, I feel like it took all the pressure off the offseason, because I felt like missing the NCAA tournament when you were walking into it would have put questions into the offseason about Miller, about the players, about everything, right? And maybe questions, but pressure. I think it would have put pressure. Now, A, he made the tournament. Okay, year 1, right? Check. But B, they made the second weekend. I think it completely changed the tone, tenor, and the offseason ahead.
You know, Lou, you just cannot put a value on how important reputation is when you're talking to high school kids, when you're talking to especially these veterans that are going to go into the portal that could be difference makers next year. You can't walk into a living room and go, yeah, we made the NIT. That's not going to play. That's not going to play. But you can walk in now as Sean Miller and go, well, first of all, I've made 9 Sweet 16s in my 21 appearances in the tournament. That's pretty good. I took a Texas team that I had to cobble together over a few months, and we figured it out, and we made it to a Sweet 16. We beat BYU. We beat Gonzaga, and we beat both of those teams on the West Coast where they have huge followings. So those were road games, big-time road games for Texas, and they came through. And so what that does is that puts a lot of polish and a lot of gloss on this Texas machine. Sean Miller can walk into a living room now and go, hey, we're building something here, and do you want to be a part of it? You want to live in Austin? You want some of this NIL money? Come play at Texas. There's going to be some spots open.
Do you think this will translate into off-season enthusiasm for the fan base? Because you correct me if I'm wrong. You're the one that covers them. You know what's going down. It seemed like, I kept seeing photos of the Moody Center, and it seemed like the fans either jumped off or never jumped all on board. They averaged, 10,000 fans. But and the Moody Center sells itself. But it's a football school. Yep. Let's not get it twisted. It's a lukewarm basketball fan base. If we're doing the pecking order among passion, as far as passion's concerned, Lou, it's football, it's baseball, then it's basketball. That's the pecking order, and it's always been the pecking order. No matter who was playing basketball here, be it T.J. Ford, Kevin Durant, LaMarcus Aldridge, they've had some great players come through here. It's always been football, baseball, then hoops. When you get to a third sport, and you don't even have to make it Longhorn specific, how much energy is left? You understand the question, right? How much energy is actually left when you get to the third sport? That's a great question, Lou. I don't know, because, I'm not a fan, but I understand that football's going to always be king in Texas. It just is. It's a football state. It's a football country, if we're just going to keep it real. But once you get to baseball, and Texas, a storied baseball program, 6 national championships. That's storied. Passionate fan base. They pack the dish on a Tuesday night. They show up. Basketball has never won anything. In the modern era, 1 Final Four appearance, and it's been a really quiet. And Chris Beard had it going here, but then he had ran into some legal problems and lost his job, and so now they turned to Sean Miller, and hopefully they can rally. They're going to have to spend some more NIL money. They're going to have to get the collectives outside the school to invest more in basketball if they want to compete with the Arkansas and the Kentuckys of the SEC, the Floridas, because those teams are spending big money on hoops. And so I don't think that they're investing enough in basketball if they want to really be a national championship contender. The one investment that they made that makes the most sense to me was bringing in Sean Miller, who's proven he can win in the NCAAs, but they're going to need to spend some more money on these players. Something I've always thought, why, because A&M and Texas are similar in that they're football 1 and baseball 2 at both schools, is that you get to rest up from football into baseball. You get that break, and mentally, fan speaking, emotionally, you get to be 100% again in time for baseball. So you get to fully invest and get to go crazy again. That's true. And on those years when basketball is playing well, that wait doesn't seem as long because it gives you the spring to bite into what's going on with hoops. It's been a kind of a topsy-turvy basketball season in Austin, and thankfully the women have been leading the way because they are a legitimate national championship type contender.
and I fully expect them to be in Phoenix for the Final Four. But that ranks beneath men's basketball and ranks beneath baseball and football, of course. But kudos to the women for playing so well and giving fans something to cheer about. They've been the most consistent program in the spring. So I think the fact that the Texas men are making some noise along with the Texas women while spring football is playing in the background is kind of a cool deal. But with that said, Lou, here I am sitting in a hotel room working on a spring football column.
There you go. And for those that don't know, Cedric's on the road right now. And kind of where we opened up here, Cedric has spent the past, it's not even 2 full weeks. Tuesday was Dayton for the play-in. Then you immediately had to go to Portland for them in the first round. And now you're in San Jose. Cedric, have you spent 2 full days at your house since the tournament started?
Well, I left Dayton and went to Portland, and then so yeah, I guess I haven't.
No,
wait a minute. I came back from Dayton, and then went from Dayton to Chicago. That Chicago to Portland flight was 4 hours, Lou. That is a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare. So I came back from Portland after Texas won those 2 games, and I did get to spend a day and a half in Austin, and then flew to San Jose.
So the question I have with every travel trip, have you at least enjoyed the food? Because when I travel, I map that part out. I plan that. If the food is good, I can enjoy any trip.
Yeah, the food has been great. Portland, I had never been to Portland. Portland was really cool town. Very, very pretty. I'd never been there. I went out to this place called the Press Room yesterday. I had some good seafood here, but I heard the burritos here are great, and that's probably where I'm going to go for lunch. So there's a couple of burrito spots that we've already staked out, myself and Kirk Bowles, who's along for the trip.
Outstanding. NCAA tournament in general. Have you, and you might have been so busy you haven't had a chance to absorb this, have you felt a loss of the death of the Cinderella? Have you found the games disappointing because you don't have a 22 seed in the Sweet 16, or has the madness been enough for you?
The madness has been enough because there's been so many big plays. I mean, the end of the Vanderbilt-Nebraska game, where the guy almost makes a half-court shot, St. John's taking down Kansas at the buzzer, Rick Pitino in the $4,000 double-breasted suit. I'm telling you, I miss the days when coaches dressed. I'm a suit guy, and then Rick Pitino and the retired Jay Wright were always my 2 favorites to watch because they were always suited and booted. So, but there's been a lot of clutch plays. But the Cinderella is missing, and Texas, I don't think really counts. It's too big a program to be called a Cinderella.
What?
It's not a Maryland, Baltimore. It's not a Baltimore, Maryland county. It's not a coastal type. It's not a Cinderella. There's too much money to be a Cinderella. Texas is the only double-digit seed left in the tournament, so there is no Cinderella.
I look at the matchups. We got Texas, Purdue, Iowa, Nebraska, Arkansas, Arizona, Illinois, Houston. And that's tonight's lineup. And by the way, little shameless plug here. We, here on The Zone, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have every game. Sweet 16, we've got the Elite 8. It's all from Westwood One Sports. We start 6 o'clock today, 6 o'clock tomorrow. You will hear every game here on The Zone. But I look at the games, and I think there's only one game I would throw back in the water. Every other game I want to watch. So that's my answer to that question. For if I were to ask myself, there's none of these games I throw back. I can't wait.
I can't either, and I am so excited to be sitting courtside tonight for Texas, Purdue, and then the Arkansas, Arizona. Man, that is hot. That is a hot matchup, and. If you haven't seen Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas, those freshman guards for Arkansas, you're in for a treat.
136, 121.
That is some Loyola Marymount type stuff. That is going to be an absolute shootout, and I am so excited. And I know Texas plays right before them, and I'm going to be rushing to get my column in so I can get back out there and watch what might be up to this point the most entertaining game we will see in this tournament.
Cedric Golden of the Austin-American Statesman joins us on the D4 Land Services hotline. Hey, Cedric, how about a quick timeout, come back? Man, I got so much more I want to hang out with you about.
Man, you got it.
Cedric Golden, it's a Thursday thing. We'll be right back. It's the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric on the Zone.
Visit the Pod Center at zone1150.com and find every hour of every day of your favorite shows. Download or subscribe.
I know the question that absolutely nobody is asking is, Lou, why are you playing Pink Floyd all day long? I will explain at the end of the hour. But again, I know absolutely nobody cares. But just a little observational note. Pink Floyd, huh? Yeah, there's always a reason why. I am random. I'm just not that random. Let us head back to the D4 Land Services hotline. And if you ever need like a metal building, a custom metal building from the ground up, go check out d4landservices.com. d4landservices.com. Cedric, do you want a quick smile?
Yeah.
I saw, because you understand how we take brackets and tournaments, tournament teams, and you can rank them by mascot, who has the best coaches, by coach, most tournament wins. I think it was FanDuel, maybe it was DraftKings, and they decided to have fun. And you realize we have a very Midwest flair to this tournament field. So they ranked each school by their corn production. I think it's my favorite ever. I mean, Iowa and Iowa State are tied at like 2.8 billion or something, corn production. Illinois 2.4, and Nebraska, stunned, came in fourth at 2 bill. And this was hilarious. UConn and Arizona tied for last at not applicable. They got no corn ties at all. So just a little entertainment on the eve as we're about to begin the Sweet 16.
I was wondering where Texas was because I spent a lot of my youth shucking corn. My grandfather had a farm, and we had a cornfield, and we would pick corn.
7. Dead mill, right? Dead mill. It was 7.
Nice.
So I laughed at that, though. That's the entertainment. Hey, let's go to Longhorn baseball for a while. So, Schloss was here for a while. I'm not sure if you heard about that. And when he was the A&M head coach, he didn't go with the let's lose the Friday night game in the most excruciatingly way possible and then win the next 2 philosophy. So I guess he's mixing it up this year with the Longhorns.
Yeah, and he also didn't subscribe to blowing 7-0 leads at Houston. Did you see that? They were 7-0 and lost 9-7. I watched some of that on SEC Plus, and that just did not look like a team that was one of the favorites to win the SEC. They couldn't catch the ball.
Well, it was 7-0, I believe, mid-5, and then Houston put up a 3 and a 3 spot, something like that, to win 9-7 in the end. And that wasn't the first mysterious midweek loss. And this past weekend, Longhorn baseball, a bases-loaded error to rally to lose 4-3 on the Friday night. And then, of course, they beat number 5 in the country, Auburn. They take 2 out of 3 by winning Saturday, Sunday. So, but the Longhorns, nonetheless, still took the series 2 out of 3 from number 5 in the country, Auburn.
Yeah, and you didn't mention a 6-1 Tuesday night loss to Tarleton State last week.
It's the formula. You know that.
Yeah, and then and the one thing that we should take away from these 2 series to start out the SEC is the Horns probably should have swept both series. They blew a 9th inning lead to Ole Miss.
Yep.
They blew that lead and gave up a grand slam in that game, and then a bases loaded error by the center fielder Aiden Robbins right through the wickets leads to that loss at Auburn. So. Conceivably, they could be 6-0 instead of 4-2.
That I remember the OU Grand Slam because everyone Not OU, sorry. It was the Ole Miss. I knew there was O in there. But literally everyone was shocked. I think the Longhorns were shocked, and Ole Miss. Everybody was shocked in the field, because they cut into whatever I was watching at the time, and I was shocked. That was just, those moments don't happen often.
Yeah, and I was at that one. And, I was at that game. And so to watch that happen, and then to see the look on Schloss's face after the game, just crestfallen, because you just can't. In this conference, you can't let wins like that get away, because this is all about seeding, and this is all about getting a good seeding in the bracket, getting to host the first couple of rounds. So those kind of games add up. They're still in really good shape, but they could be in a lot better shape if they figure out what's going on with the bullpen.
Well, if the Longhorns end up 9-10 and not 5-6, it's going to be the midweek losses. And we're talking about at the end. If they end up as a 9-10 seed instead of a 5-6 national seed, it's all going to be the midweeks in the end for them. It looks like. I mean, what do we got? 8 more SEC series. So there's plenty of time. But you mentioned you don't lose games like that on the Fridays, either one of them, to be honest. But that's the point of the SEC. You don't get to make up games. You don't go, we'll get one back later. The SEC doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. And so, again, and they're only 20% of the way through the schedule, SEC-wise. Plenty of time. They finished top 3 SEC. They're going to be in really good shape. But if I'm Schlossnagle, I'm really concerned about why my team can't hold leads, why my relievers can't get outs. And he's got Dylan Volantis starting on Sunday, and Dylan is a sophomore lefty, really good stuff. He was the SEC saves leader last year, a freshman All-American with 12 saves in conference play. Definitely got weekend starter stuff. But if things keep going like this, it wouldn't shock me if they moved him back to the closer role, because you got to save these games, Lou.
You got to win Friday. You got to win Friday.
Got to win on Friday nights, and so. They have a guy named Cosard, a youngster named Cosard, who's been electric, and they started him out on Tuesday nights. But he's been so good that they've moved him to long relief on the weekends. It would be very easy to make him the Sunday starter.
Safe Life can do it.
Volantis your Friday night closer.
Yeah, if you put Volantis back on Friday and you start winning the Friday as opposed to these excruciating losses, then you could try and scramble on Sunday with an all hands on deck to go for a sweep, as opposed to having to win the next 2 just to take a series.
That's exactly right, and that takes a lot of pressure off. You win that Friday night game, man, and you're playing with house money after that, Lou. You're feeling good. You still got a quality guy in Luke Harrison or whomever coming in on Saturday. But winning Friday is the one thing. You go to bed that night knowing that I just need to win one more game to win this series. And that's what it's about. It ain't about winning games. It's about winning series.
So, up next at Dish Falk, the Red River rivalry sponsored by the International House of Pancakes America, United Airlines. I get confused somewhere in there. They're hosting, OU, one of the greatest rivalries in all of college athletics. I'm going to ask you the most basic question. Why do Texas and OU hate each other so much?
Well, it's a border rivalry, and they've hated each other for 100 years. And
yeah, but why? What started it? I mean, Texas is a huge state. You can hate New Mexico. I mean, there's a lot of schools you can hate.
I just think that OU would love to be what Texas is, one of the biggest states, one of the richest states, one of the prettiest states. There's a lot to hate. Some of the coolest towns in America. I mean, Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, College Station. There's some cool cities. There's some cool cities in this state. And so for me, I think it's a healthy dose of hatred, because we're Texas and they are not. So, I don't have anything against the state of Oklahoma, but, personally, I wouldn't want to live there, Lou.
I don't like the beer. It's hard to find a good meal. And it's a pretty boring state to drive in. So I got some things against Oklahoma.
Yeah, Arkansas hates Texas for some of the same reasons, but Arkansas is a lot more scenic than Oklahoma. Arkansas is pretty.
Yeah, it's not even close. That's comparing apples and fruit. I mean, apples and figs. That's not even close. Anyway, so OU and Texas and, battle of OU. I didn't look at their ranking this week, when A&M faced some top 10 teams. This should be good. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, an offset series. But this should be a phenomenal series down at Dish Fog.
Yeah, and I think for Texas, it's kind of cool that that they're starting tonight, that's going to be game one tonight, because that might give them a chance to get that Houston taste out of their mouth and back at the house. And the last time they were home, they didn't get it done against Tarleton State. So I think this is a good chance for Texas to kind of right some wrongs and maybe figure some things out against a team that they should win this series. But like we've said many times over the years, the SEC, there are no free lunches in this baseball conference, just like football.
Cedric Golden of the Austin-American Statesman joins us Thursdays on the D4 Land Services Hotline. If you ever need help with your land, like fixed, cleared, excavated, well, it's part of. They do more also, but go check it out, how they can help you at d4landservices.com, d4landservices.com. Cedric, before I let you roll out of here, have the Longhorns had their pro day yet? Is that in football? Because, you said you're writing up articles and stuff. I know they've started, spring football practice has started at least, right?
Uh-huh.
So have they done the pro days and stuff too?
Yeah, I was at pro day on Tuesday. They had it on Tuesday, and there were some good workouts. One head coach showed up. Brian Schottenheimer of the Cowboys was there. He visited with Sarkisian and his staff, and it was an all-day sucker. Man, pro day's long. I'm glad that's over with.
It's just, I got to imagine, you've been talking about your travel, and now Tuesday you were at pro day too. So in your 2 days / truly just a day and a half at home, one of those whole days were spent at pro day?
Yeah. We talked to Sarkisian at 11, and we went to pro day at 1. And then the next day I was on a plane to San Jose. So it's been a busy week.
Who are the Longhorn players you potentially expect on the draft to be called out at the NFL draft this year?
Well, their best player is their middle linebacker, Anthony Hill.
Yeah.
He's trending late first, early second round. So he's definitely their best bet to get drafted. Who else? You got DJ Campbell, an interior offensive lineman, will get drafted. Michael Taft is a safety. He'll get drafted late. Had a good workout. Manny Muhammad, cornerback, will get drafted. Jalen Gilbo, cornerback / safety, will get drafted. So they have some guys. They're not going to have the haul that we've seen the last couple of years where 23 guys have been drafted, but they'll have a handful, 5 or 6, that will get drafted.
Is the lack of haul actually lack of talent, lack of eligibility expiring, transfer portal weirdness, or just a blip on the Longhorn radar?
It's mostly the lack of eligibility thing, because you look at what they're going to have next year, and there's going to be just a bountiful feast of Longhorns. You could have as many as 3 in the first round. You know what, Arch Manning's going to go in the first round next year. You know Colin Simmons, the edge rusher who led the SEC at sacks, is going to go in the first round. Ryan Wingo, the electric wide receiver, is going to have a chance to go in the first 3 rounds. Cam Coleman will probably go in the first round, the Auburn transfer wideout. So it's going to be a good draft this year. It's going to be a great one next year.
Cedric, go enjoy the burritos. May you have some time at home. Thank you always, brother. Be awesome. It's fun just to check in with you, man. I love hanging out with you.
Brother, always a pleasure, man. Enjoy the sports today. It's going to be a great, great weekend.
That is the plan. You give me the madness. You give me some Aggie baseball and more. I'm in. Sign me. Oh, and for me, I'm a softball junkie, right? Lifelong.
Oh, yeah.
A&M TU, brother. Gonna happen. It's going down.
Can't wait.
Later, brother. Be good.
Later.
Cedric Golden joins me on the D4 Land Services hotline. It's just part of what we do here on the Louis Bellino Show, presented by CC Electric. I'll be right back. 3 minutes. I don't know how long. It's not like I timed it. 3 minutes. Okay. 3 minutes and 48 seconds. It's the Louis Bellina Show, Thursday on the Zone.
Your home for the Houston Astros is Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
The Louis Bellina Show. It is Thursday, and the Louis Bellina Show. I'm inside the Charles Schwab studio, but I'm not alone. Ron Crozier, a voice, a name familiar to many, just if you lived in Bryan College Station for some time. Ron Crozier has been a part of our community. Twin City Mission has been a part of our community, and once a month he joins me on the Community Spotlight. That's Tuesdays at 1:50. Matter of fact, it's the first Tuesday of each month, so Ron will be back on Tuesday.
Sweet.
If I'm doing any math right or anything. Is next Tuesday the first Tuesday of May? April, sorry.
Close to it.
We'll figure it out. Ron and I both figure that stuff out on the weekend. The reason why Ron is joining me inside the Charles Schwab studio is two-part. One, this past Monday, it's one of those circle your calendars. Look forward to it every year. It was the 26th annual Twin City Mission Charity Golf Tournament. Everybody gathers. Yeah, it's about golf, I guess. Really, it's about raising funds for the missions of Twin City. It's kind of about fellowship, where all these people that care come together, common goal, and it's really about Twin City missions, and to me it's about the programs and so forth.
Right. And I think it goes a step further than that, Louis. It's about public awareness. This year we were fortunate that we had 33 teams, which, if my math is correct, that's 136 golfers. So it was or 132 golfers, whatever it was.
Don't do Lou math.
But we had that many people out there talking Twin City Mission all day. They talked about Twin City Mission leading up to the event. When they got back to work on Tuesday, people asked, how'd the Twin City Mission gig go? How'd they do in the golf tournament? And we put it so close to the start of the year that we try to set the standard for all the other nonprofit golf tournaments that are going to come up. People say, hey, you get to play in the Twin City Mission event. Well, hey, they do it this way or they do that. And we've even had some nonprofits want to borrow my
playbook.
Each year I do a Bible for that year's tournament, and they wanted to borrow it and see, the timeline. When do you make contacts? When do you secure your teams? When do you secure your prizes? When do you secure your sponsorships and all those things that go with putting on a golf tournament? You can't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I think I'd like to do a golf tournament."
No.
And you said this is the 26th. We're so lucky, so incredibly lucky that our first one was in 01. Our second one was in 02. So all you got to do is ask what year it is, and we'll know how many years we've been doing this golf
tournament. It's easy to do math that way. One of the things I wanted to share today, you talk about the mission, and, I wanted to share the programs. I want people to understand more of what Twin City Mission does.
That's who you are, man. You like to talk about us, and we couldn't be more thankful for that relationship. And this is just an opportunity for Twin City Mission to put our best foot forward, not only for those in the community that need the assistance, but also for those in the community that have the penchant to help the community. They may have some funds or resources that they want to donate and not sure where to go. Why not keep it local? Take care of the local community. Take care of your neighbors, people down the street from you, people who go to church with you, who in today's economy may find themselves needing a little bit of assistance. It's not always that homeless guy or that victim. It could be somebody who's just in a hard place in life and they need some help.
Hard times are not the exception. Hard times are everywhere.
Exactly. And that's what we do. We are so blessed, Louis, and you've heard me say this to you before. The relationship that Twin City Mission has with our partners is unparalleled in these times. We had, and I noticed this on Monday, we've had golfers and sponsors that have been a part of our tournament since its inception back in 01. And one of those partners, of course, is you and your program. And while we may not see your bright and smiling face out on the course that day,
I miss the days, man.
We know that leading up to the event, that's part of your everyday routine as you're talking about Twin City Mission. And you're not just saying, hey, there's another nonprofit, go out and support them, they need your help, and blah, blah, blah. No, you get into the in-depth ins and outs of who we are and what we do. And our 5 main programs, it's important to know that each one of our 5 main programs could serve as a nonprofit in and of itself. And we're very fortunate that we've got 5 programs that fall under one umbrella. And so, at times it makes it challenging But at the same time, it's just as rewarding because we're getting to see the overlap of the people that need help.
If you maybe need help or know someone that needs help, Twin City Mission helps with homeless services, housing services, domestic violence services, family support services, and they do donation and resale services.
Well, let's break that down a little bit and explain the difference between homeless and housing. Homeless services are those who have no place to go. They're living in their car. They're couch surfing. They're staying behind the old stores, at night, trying to be out of the limelight, if you will. Those are the people who come to the shelter for help. And those are the people who need the community cafe and who need the community closet just for existence, okay? So anybody staying at the shelter, 3 meals a day. The housing services program takes you from the shelter and helps you find your own residential. We're going to take you from needing shelter to self-sufficiency. You talk about domestic violence. We've got Phoebe's Home. People are familiar with the name. They may not know all the ins and outs, but they know that that's domestic violence. But just as important for that shelter is our non-residential services. You may be a victim of domestic violence or know somebody that is. Maybe it's teen dating violence or something of that nature. You may not need the protection of staying in an undisclosed shelter, but all of those other services are still afforded to you. So you can still get all of the counseling and job readiness and things like that you don't think about. You think, oh, if they're going to get help, they got to go stay in the shelter. And that's not true. We've got all the legal things that go with it. People in our community, and it's not just women. We've got some men who are victims of domestic violence. And understand that domestic violence is not always somebody throwing a punch and hitting somebody. There's physical abuse, mental abuse, financial abuse, sexual abuse. There's all sorts of abuse that fall under that category. And we can't let you know what's available unless we can get in front of you. And this golf tournament affords us some awareness of what's out there. And then if you want more or need more, now you've got a contact. We make sure that all the golfers and all the volunteers and all the sponsors that are out there, when they leave that day, they know a little bit more about who Twin City Mission is and what we do just for having come out and played around the golf.
And then the donation and resale services?
That we got 4 resale stores where you can actually go in and get stuff at less than garage sale prices. So the cost is workable. But the other thing about it is that everything in our stores donated. We don't go to some big warehouse or big corporate and receive their leftovers or their one-offs. Everything that we put in our stores is donated. Now understand that it's got to be in good working condition. It can't be torn or ripped or missing a wheel or broken leg or anything like that. So it's donated by the community for the community.
How can people go get more information? And it doesn't matter. This is someone like, man, I've been looking for you. They know someone that could use this help.
Exactly.
Maybe they just want to get involved. How do they go get more info?
Best way to do it is go to our website, twincitymission.org. Go to our social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, things like that. And we try to post on a regular, consistent basis anything that's coming up, anything that has just happened, spotlighting or highlighting some key volunteers in our community, organizations in our community. Classic example, we're just finishing up renovation of our homeless shelter. And there's a sorority at Texas A&M, the Zetas, who gave of their time and spent time at the shelter helping us build all of the new beds and cabinets. And then they came back and made up all the beds with new sheets, new blankets, new pillows, new pillowcases, fresh towels, all of these things. And when you can see an organization like this from Texas A&M give of their time, without even second thought, that's how you know you're making an impact in your community. And we love the relationships that we have with all the organizations on campus, whether it's students, faculty, staff, whoever it is. They want to get involved with us because they believe in the mission of Twin City Mission.
TwinCityMission.org.
That's us.
You need help. You know someone that needs help. They have homeless services, housing services, domestic violence services, family support services, donation, and resale services.
Yes, sir.
If you want to get involved, whether it's volunteering or just donating,
Exactly.
TwinCityMission.org. Ron, we're almost out of time, but I do have a text message question for you.
I'm ready.
It's from Chris, and he just wants to know, and he says, can you ask Ron? And the answer is, yes, I can.
How
How did you come to advocate for the less fortunate?
It's a real simple answer. I know we're short on time, but I'll tell you, it wasn't my choice. I think the good Lord Almighty had used me in a lot of different ways, doing a lot of different things. And he told me, this is where I need you. This is where I want you. And I'm not going to argue with him. He took my time, talent, and energy and put it to those who don't have any of those. And together we're standing by each other to get to the next step. We don't try to look at it 6 months down the road, 10 years down the road. A lot of times it's one step, one day.
It's getting to tomorrow.
That's it.
A lot of times just getting to tomorrow.
Great question, Chris. Just know that it wasn't my choice, but I certainly never back down from any time God speaks to me.
TwinCityMission.org. The 26th Annual Charity Golf Classic was Monday, but that doesn't mean it's done. It's just one part of every day, every week, every month, all year long, there's work to do.
We're already planning the 27th. So.
Cannot wait. Ron, thank you always.
Appreciate it, Louie.
Be awesome, brother. When we return, I got no idea. I just know we'll wrap up the lunch hour of the Louie Bellino Show thanks to Rudy's Barbecue.
You can hear Aggie Baseball online at RadioAggieland.com. RadioAggieland.com.